Explorers, Kid Explorer here, and today I'm here to talk about the ultimate guide for airport security screening programs. Today I'm going to talk about 6 different programs. So I'm adding on 3 programs to what I talked about a few years ago. So I'm giving you more information about security programs at the airport. So we're going to talk about TSA Precheck, Global Entry, and Clear, but also today I'm adding on Mobile Passport, Nexus, and TSA Precheck Touchless ID. So let's get into today's video. And before we do, I am Kid Explorer, and welcome to my channel. If you have not already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. It is free for you to do so. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Now let's get into today's video. So first up, let's talk about TSA Precheck. Well-known program. TSA Precheck is a 5-year program. After 5 years, you have to renew, and it costs $78 to get into the program. Some credit cards do have a fee to waive TSA Precheck, so you would need to look at your credit card or look into credit cards that have that option. You do have to apply, you do have to fill out an application, and then you do have to go to an enrollment center to, take your fingerprints and all that jazz to finalize your process as TSA Precheck. Now, what is TSA Precheck? TSA Precheck is a wonderful program in US airports where there is a designated line for TSA Precheck. In this line, you don't have to take your shoes off and you don't have to take your laptops out of the bag. You do still have to follow the liquid requirements, of course. And also, they usually only have the metal detector for TSA Precheck passengers to go through. Like, you don't have to go through the body scan, usually with TSA Precheck. TSA Precheck has gotten quite plentiful over the years. More and more people have enrolled. So you will see a little bit longer lines, but the lines still tend to move a little bit faster than the general line because you don't have to take your laptop out and you don't have to take your shoes off. Next up is Global Entry. Now with Global Entry, you have the Global Entry benefits plus TSA Precheck. So if you're gonna travel internationally and you want TSA Precheck, you might as well get Global Entry. Don't get both. Don't get both of them. Only get Global Entry. I highly recommend just getting Global Entry. Global Entry is a little bit more involved. When you fill out your application for Global Entry, they're gonna ask you more questions like where have you lived, places you travel to in a certain time frame, questions about if you've been deported before. All types of things go into your Global Entry application. So it is going to take you a little bit more time. And even during the renewal, you still have to tell them how many places you've traveled to since the last time you had a Global Entry application. Now, for a Global Entry, it is $100. So it's a little bit more than TSA Precheck, but it's also still lasts for 5 years before you have to renew. And again, there are credit cards that waive that fee, so you don't have to even pay it. So check your credit card or check for a credit card you may be signing up for to see if it waives the Global Entry fee for you. Now, when it comes to getting approved for Global Entry, you will have to get an appointment to go and have an interview with Border Patrol, pretty much, with US Customs. You have to have an interview. They're going to ask you various questions, maybe about your past travels, what have you. Who knows what may come up in your interview. And after the interview, if everything works out, you'll get approved and you can start using Global Entry pretty soon afterwards. It is taking quite some time to get an appointment for Global Entry interviews these days, which leads me to try out Appointment Scanner. I had to use Appointment Scanner last year for my niece, and the appointments that I was finding on my own wasn't until 2 months after we returned from France. One morning I woke up, saw an article from the Points Guy, and they mentioned this Appointment Scanner website. I went on there, I spent $29 within an hour. I kid you not. I had an appointment before we left for France for my niece to have Global Entry interview. It does the work for you. It's constantly checking for availability of Global Entry interview appointments. Now, if you are renewing your Global Entry, interviews are conditional. I didn't have to have an interview for my renewal, but I do know some people who have had to have an interview. Now, just to let you know, with Global Entry, there are a variety of people eligible to get Global Entry that are not just US citizens. Let me read you the list of people who can sign up for Global Entry. So obviously US citizens and permanent US residents, citizens of Argentina, Brazil, Bahrain, India, Colombia, the UK, Germany, the Netherlands, Panama, Singapore, South Korea, Switzerland, Taiwan, and Mexican nationals. Now, what are the benefits of global entry? So obviously you have the TSA Precheck benefit that we previously discussed, but also when you come back into the United States or you're going out of a international airport that has US customs already in it, you don't have to go stand in a regular long line. You go up to the global entry booth, and the global entry machines, now I just used one a few weeks ago coming in from Aruba. All I had to do was walk up to it, scan me, and I walked through. I didn't have to do anything with it. Went to the booth, custom asked me 1 or 2 questions, and I kept on going. Didn't have to fill out any documentation going through global entry. So it definitely saves a lot of time. Next up, let's talk about the Nexus program. This program is for entry between the United States and Canada only, for that crossing from US to Canada. Obviously, US citizens and permanent residents can apply. Obviously, Canadian citizens and also Mexican nationals can apply as well. But it's only between the US and Canada crossing. Now, the Nexus program is another program that lasts 5 years, and you can use this for air and land travel. If you are doing land travel, you don't necessarily have to have a passport. If you're coming from the United States, I'm not sure about from Canada. When you use Nexus, you would go through the global entry line actually at the airport, and in Canada, you would use the Nexus line. You do have to fill out an application to answer questions, and you do have to go through an interview process just like global entry. And again, the appointments are backed up, and you can use Appointment Scanner to find you a Nexus appointment. It only costs $50 and it lasts 5 years. So this is a great program if you plan on going in between the United States and Canada. Next up, let's talk about Clear. Now, Clear is not available at all airports, but you can also find Clear at sports stadiums or rental car places. It definitely varies, so you can look up locations online. Now, what is Clear? Clear is something that is attached or in addition to TSA Precheck or your global entry. It is not a government program. It is a third-party program, and they use biometrics for your screening process into the airport. So you can have Clear with just your regular boarding pass, or you can have Clear with TSA Precheck, which I highly recommend, especially at very busy airports like Atlanta. When you use Clear with TSA Precheck, you get to skip the TSA Precheck line. You go up through the Clear line, you go to your biometrics booth, you scan your eyes or your fingerprints. The person for Clear checks your identification, and then they take you directly up to the TSA representative. TSA representative looks at your boarding pass and you go on your way. You don't have to pull out an ID. Still carry your ID because you never know when you may need it, right? You get to skip those lines. You can skip TSA Precheck line, you can skip the general boarding line. You get to skip those lines. But there is an additional fee with that. Delta does have a promotional fee if you sign up as a SkyMiles member. I cannot remember because I got Clear so long ago, I still have the grandfathered price. But if you were to sign up right now for just the standard Clear membership, it costs $189 a year, which is quite steep. So you need to be traveling quite a bit unless you get that Delta SkyMiles discount, which is $119 a year, which makes it a little more affordable and reasonable, right? Obviously, you can cancel at any time before the year comes up, and you can try out Clear for free. I do have a link down below if you would like to try out Clear and make sure you cancel before they charge or whatever it is, but you can try it out and see if you like it. Now let's talk about mobile passport. Mobile entry is beneficial if you do not have global entry and you really don't want to stand in that general boarding line. Or maybe the global entry line is moving slow as molasses. Who knows what the issue is? But mobile entry, you can download an app on the phone where you can fill out documentation up on your arrival, and then you can go to the designated mobile passport line at the airport. You do need to look up the locations to verify if the airport you're flying into is a participating member. Not all airports are, but I did see Atlanta is back on the list. So that's great because Atlanta did not have mobile passport for a while. It's a free application. It doesn't require any pre-approval, doesn't require any extensive application process. You just fill out the normal information that you would fill out when you arrive in a country, like on the paper form. But you can only fill out this information right before arrival. You can't do this like months in advance when you know you're traveling back into the United States. You can't do that. Right before arrival, you fill this out, get it loaded on your app, and go to the mobile passport line. And again, it is free for you to use that application. And just to let you know, if you couldn't see the name on the app here that I posted, the name of the application is Mobile Passport Control. And actually, not just US citizens can use it, also Canadian travelers as well. Now, the last program I want to talk to you about is the TSA Precheck Touchless ID. This is a fairly new program and is only offered at select airports. Now, how do you get into this program? There are two ways. One, your airline may be a participating partner. So I know Delta is one of the participating partners, and when you go to actually check in for your flight, they may ask you if you want to enroll in Touchless ID. If you enroll in the program, then you will, follow enrollment options and then follow that option once you get to the airport. Now, the other option is to input your ID into approved TSA applications on your mobile device. With either option, once you get to the airport, you will not have to show your identification to get into security. But they do still highly recommend you bring your identification because one, you never know when this new process may fail. Two, you will still need it when you return from your trip. You may need it when you get there. You may need it for a rental car, whatever it may be. But this is a newer option that you could try out where you don't have to worry about pulling out your ID to get through security checkpoint, similar to Clear in a way. Okay, so those were the 6 different airport security programs. This was your ultimate guide of airport security programs. Let me tell you those 6 programs again. Have TSA Precheck, Global Entry, Clear, Nexus, Mobile Passport, and finally the newer program, TSA Precheck Touchless ID. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in trying out one or more of these programs and what questions you may have. Leave them down below. I would love to help you out. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit the like button. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. It is free for you to do so and helps me provide more and better content to you in the future. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Make sure you share this video with your friends, family, and social media networks so they can understand and have this ultimate guide for airport security screening themselves. And if you're interested in purchasing some travel merchandise, make sure you check out my link to my store down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day or night wherever in the world you are. Bye.